Hazard communication, or HAZCOM, is very important to ensure your safety with the materials you are working with and around. RG's HAZCOM program contains 3 basic steps. First, evaluate the materials you are working with or around to check for potential hazards. Second, if there is a potential hazard, you need to communicate it to your coworkers, supervisors, and other tradesmen working in the area. Third, work with your supervisor to establish the protective measures that should be taken to ensure the safety of yourself and others prior to commencing work with these materials. Over the next few minutes, we will learn how to identify the potential hazards so that you can successfully implement RG's HAZCOM program. RG will provide you with the information needed to evaluate potential hazards for the materials we use in construction, and what, if any, personal protective equipment, that's PPE, must be used to work safely around the materials. This information can be found in the MSDS, Material Safety Data Sheets, which are maintained in all of our gang boxes on the job. The MSDS are broken down into the following sections. Section 1 provides the manufacturer's name and emergency phone numbers. Section 2 provides a listing of what hazardous ingredients are in the material. In this section, a key component is the TLV, or Threshold Limit Value, which identifies what an employee can be exposed to day after day without adverse effects. Section 3 provides the physical data of the material as to what it looks like or if it gives off an unusual odor. Section 4 provides fire and explosion hazard data, including what the flash point is. That is, what temperature a liquid will give off enough vapors to ignite it. This section also identifies what you should use to extinguish the fire. Section 5 provides information as to if the material is stable or if it will decompose. Section 6 provides the health hazard data for the material, including the TLV, the effects of overexposure, such as the symptoms one might see if overexposed to the material, and emergency and first aid procedures. Section 7 provides precautions for safe handling and use of the material. Section 8 provides information as to what personal protective equipment, or PPE, is required to work with or around the material, including if respirators, special ventilation, or the use of protective gloves are needed. If the material is a specialty item or something that we don't normally use, your superintendent will ensure those specific MSDS sheets are made available to the foreman, who will communicate this information to you and update our standard MSDS binders. You will also find a copy of RG's written HAZCOM communication program in each gang box with the MSDS sheets. In most instances, to tell whether a material is considered hazardous when reviewing the MSDS sheets, look for one of the following words to be used: flammable, explosive, eye irritant, requires well-ventilated area, carcinogenic, corrosive, sensitizing, and/or target organ affecting. In addition to using the MSDS sheets, you can also find information on the potential hazards by looking at the labels on the material containers. Following are explanations of the 2 most recognizable labeling systems. The first is the Hazardous Materials Information System. This label is comprised of 4 bars, blue being for health-related hazards, red being for flammability, orange, formerly yellow, to identify reactivity or physical hazards, which are those that are combustible or explosive, and white, along with a symbol, to identify what personal protective equipment should be used. In addition, this system uses numbers for each of those first 3 bars, blue, red, and orange. This determines the severity of the hazard: minimal, slight, moderate, serious, or a severe hazard. The second labeling system is the National Fire Protection Association. This label is diamond-shaped, consisting again of 4 colors, which are blue for health-related hazards, red for flammability, yellow for reactivity or physical hazards, and white to denote special firefighting measures or hazards. The 3 colored sections of the diamond each contain a number in them, from 0 to 4. Again, this is to indicate the severity of the hazard, with 0 representing a minimal hazard and 4 being a very severe hazard. Being familiar with these labeling systems is important so that when you're faced with an unknown material, you can determine if a potential hazard exists. Again, If at any time you have a HAZCOM question, don't hesitate to look at the MSDS sheet, review the label on the material container, or contact your foreman or superintendent so that they can confirm the safety of the material in question. If a material is not provided by RG and you are unsure whether it poses a potential hazard, please contact your foreman or superintendent so that they can address it with the general contractor or the other subcontractor to ensure that no hazards exist. Once a hazard has been identified, notify your foreman or superintendent immediately. Your foreman or superintendent will then stop the work with or near the material that's in question and devise the proper protective measures that must be taken to ensure the safety of yourself and your coworkers. Knowing how to identify potential hazards and then deal with them is critical to ensure your safety on the job site as it relates to hazard communication.